Welcome to the Audio Renaissance Tapes presentation of The Secrets of Savvy Networking, written by Susan Rowan, adapted for audio by Richard O'Connor and Tony Hutz, produced by Tony Hutz. And now, here is Susan Rowan.
Hi. In this program, I'm going to share techniques all of us can use to establish the rapport, communication, and a foundation for relationships and friendships that impact our careers and enrich our lives. In my previous book and audio tape, How to Work a Room, I taught you how to mingle, meet new people, start conversations, and make business contacts. Now, I'm going to amplify on that message. Whether you're a cop or corporate executive, a manager or mechanic, realtor or rabbi, professor or politician, I created this program for you. The Secrets of Savvy Networking is designed to promote a lifestyle of linkages from you to other people whom you know and the people they know, the extended network. And our networks are crucial in business as well as in life. It's not what you know, but who you know is a well-known saying, yet it's only half true. The reality is that, in order to manage a career, grow a business, or guide your personal or professional endeavors, it is who knows you. Talent alone will not prevail, nor will skill or experience. It is the contacts you have made and the connections you have established that contribute to your success. Making it on your own doesn't make it in the job jungle. Interdependence is the law of nature and survival. We are inextricably intertwined with our colleagues, cronies, and competitors. The best definition of networking is the one I learned from my friend, the late Sally Livingston. To quote her, she described networking as a reciprocal process based on the exchange of ideas, advice, information, referrals, leads, and contacts where resources are shared and acknowledged. Unquote. Networking enhances both personal and professional aspects of one's life and increases your power, position, and influence, and your quality of life. There is also a spirit of sharing that transcends the information shared. The best networkers reflect that spirit with a genuine joy in their giving. In this program, you will learn how to develop and expand your business base of referrals, the unwritten rules and etiquette of creating a firm foundation, the do's and don'ts of networking, and how to communicate with contacts to create solid business relationships and friendships. And you'll learn to enjoy the process. People have always relied on whom they know for information or referrals. That's the way we find summer camps for our children, auto mechanics, dentists, good restaurants, and countless other goods and services in our lives. Networking for word-of-mouth advice and personal referrals is a time-saving technique to get recommendations for what we need. We have been exchanging those recommendations and sharing resources ever since Eve offered Adam an apple in the Garden of Eden. Although English teachers lament the use of nouns as verbs, the word network, a noun, became an action verb in the 80s, with the emphasis on action. Networking works for those who appreciate the path and process, as well as the destination. I cannot stress enough just how important it is to develop and finally hone your follow-up skills. There's no process of networking that occurs without it. Follow-up is not only the focus of this program, it is a basic tenet of life. Behaviors and actions support words. The lack of either subverts them. The closest thing to knowing something is to know where to find it, so said Mrs. Kurtz, my 5th grade teacher. We didn't have to be walking encyclopedias, but we did have to be able to think, assess, plan, and walk over to the encyclopedia to find what we needed. And that is networking in a nutshell. People who have resources are resourceful. People who are willing to open their Rolodex, pick up a phone, call on their contacts, and ask for help, ideas, and solutions. People who offer leads, information, and ideas are perceived as powerful and smart. The closest thing to knowing something is to know where and how to find it. Here's how the communications net works. Everyone has something to contribute, some area they know well. The trick is finding out what that something is, figuring out what makes them special. Then, by conveying positive feedback, we will contribute to people's self-confidence, which encourages the exchange of ideas, information, and support. In the early 1980s, I heard Senator Dianne Feinstein, then mayor of San Francisco, speak at a luncheon. I will always remember her recommendation, which was, become an expert in a particular area. Choose an area of keen interest to you so that you will enjoy the books to be read, conversations to occur, research to be completed, and the diligence required to master the subject. Ms. Feinstein's advice mirrored what I learned through the National Speakers Association. Become an expert, because companies and associations hire experts to speak, to share their expertise. If you have an area of expertise, you are going to be viewed as a resource by others who may someday tap your know-how. Take a self-assessment inventory. What do you do? What do you know? What do you like? One way to learn more about yourself is by paying attention to compliments. I can't emphasize this enough. Listen to complimentary comments. Write them down so that you'll remember them. Reread your notes from time to time. You can learn things about yourself that will be affirming, make you feel good, and boost your confidence. Each one of us can make many contributions to our networks. The confidence to do so starts with a self-assessment. When was the last time you were asked to recommend a good restaurant, dentist, tailor, mortgage broker, cleaner, florist? Being asked for a recommendation implies that your opinions are respected. Don't underestimate your potential to contribute something others may find valuable. Those who do it best often don't know they're networking. They're just being themselves, willingly sharing resources, ideas, and information. There is another aspect to the process of networking that's even more valuable, the impromptu brainstorming session, the blending of brain power to solve problems. Brainstorming is a bonus that occurs in many business settings, conferences, roundtable discussions, hospitality suites, and task force meetings. If we believe that 2 heads are better than 1, then 10 heads put you way ahead of the ballgame, which is also one of the places brainstorming can occur. You have probably taken part in an informal session with family, friends, neighbors, and colleagues over dinner, at a picnic, or in the health club. Good networkers are great brainstormers who enjoy sharing ideas and offering solutions. The synergy of minds feeding off one another is exhilarating. So let's recap the benefits of networking. 1, we all win when we are open to a process that links people and resources. 2, our access to information increases by the number of people we know. And 3, work is enhanced by networking. The abilities to communicate, share resources, and network allow us to embrace life and its changes, not just to manage them. Few jobs are etched in concrete. There are layoffs, firings, career changes, burnouts, mergers, and midlife crises. Developing our contact base, both inside and outside of our industry, gives us some cushion. One never knows when the circumstances will occur that prompt us to explore other companies, industries, or careers. It may not even be for our own career changes that the business card file becomes important. A friend, relative, or coworker may be in dire need of some leads. It could be that a debt we owe to a friend can be returned via our contact base. For me, that is often the best circumstance, when someone I know or owe is assisted by one of my markers. It feels good, and it's a good deed. We all need to increase our networking know-how. It is no longer a gender issue, it is a people issue, possessing savvy communication skills. The ability to create, support, and utilize a growing, overlapping, yet fluid base of referrals and resources requires style and substance. Networking enhances our lives. It includes and goes beyond the exchange of business cards. Above all, it is fun, and it works, if you will. The first step is to assess our networks by taking stock of whom we know. On the Take Stock Exchange, it ain't know how, it's know who. Assessment of your contact base will produce a clear view of its potential. It will connect the dots of your personal and professional networks. People who excel on the Take Stock Exchange have skill, experience, expertise, and a valid view of their networks. These people are the matchmakers who you call, asking for the name of a good graphic artist, an agent, an insurance broker. And in 2 minutes, they can pull out a card from the Rolodex. They know who they know. They are aware of their multiple networks. We must have know-how, skills, knowledge, and a track record. Know-how is critical to job success, but it alone is not enough. There's know-how, and then there's know-who. There are many excellent tax accountants, law associates, and architects who never make partner in their firms. You might know a person who falls into that category. Hey, you might even be that person. Lots of know-how, little know-who. It seems so darned unfair. Hey, but that's life in the big city. Hard work, excellent work, is a pivotal part in the progress equation, but it's only a part. It is critical that we have a handle on the know-who portion of the equation. Do you have 3 people at work whom you call cronies, associates, friends, or coworkers? With whom do you talk at the office? Is it only the people who can do something for you, your peers? What about the secretaries, the custodians, former colleagues, competitors? Build a network. Get together your address book, business card file, professional directories, softball team roster, Christmas card list. Those of you who are computer people may have a software program to use as a format. The rest of us should get a 3-ring binder or notebook with loose leaf lined paper. Now list the following categories, 1 per sheet. People in position of influence, people who know others, coworkers and former coworkers, clients and former clients, colleagues and competitors, family, ex-family, extended family, neighbors and former neighbors, classmates and alumni, associates from organizations, charity, church, synagogue, special interest groups, such as golf, health club, or bridge buddies. Why so many diverse categories that seem unimportant to our careers? Because leads often come from unexpected sources. Some names can appear in several categories because networks overlap. If you have other categories to consider, add a sheet for each. Now place the lists together on the table or floor. Draw lines from name to name between categories. Connect the dots. If you were fired or laid off today, you'd now know whom you would call. Also, by assessing your network, you'd know whom to call if you were named chairman of the high school reunion committee or the local March of Dimes gourmet gala. You also know what or who is missing because this process of connecting the dots also reveals the gaps, what is missing from our network and life. If we are aware of our needs and goals, we can begin to fill in the blanks. Networking is a personal process which links us to others and enriches our professional and personal lives. It is based on an exchange of leads, advice, support, information, and time. The late Sally Livingston gave me a lifelong wake-up call when she was teaching techniques of networking in the 80s. She explained, "We are aware that it is not what you know, but who you know that counts. More importantly, it is who knows you." Those words of wisdom impacted my business, my writing, and my perspective. Who knows you? It made sense and gave a structure to this whole process of making contacts and being connected, and in fact, just being. That phrase continues to resonate and guide me over a decade later. If networking is a lifestyle, and it is, then business cards are the lifesavers. Our business cards say something about who we are, what we do, and where we can be reached. The manner in which we handle the distribution and collection of business cards speaks volumes about us, our style, and our knowledge of business card etiquette. Events, be they reunions, meetings, conferences, fundraisers, or parties, are opportunities to meet people and exchange cards after an exchange of conversation, not instead of it. There are some who hand out a business card as soon as they disengage from the initial handshake, a school of thought to which I do not subscribe. While that allows you to examine the card, it interrupts a potential conversation by taking the focus off the person and placing it on an inanimate object, the business card. The business card is exchanged as the follow-up to an exchange of words that establishes communication, support, and mutual interest, not self-interest. The business card gives people a tangible way to remember you and to contact you. How we handle the collection and distribution of our cards determines whether or not people would want to do either. Here are some other card tips. Make sure the design of your card does not obscure the most important information, which should always be kept current. To avoid card clutter, your company logo should not be so large that the information has to be set too small to be easily read. I learned that I needed bifocals when I was handed a card that appeared to have no phone number on it. Make sure that your card fits into either a business card file or a Rolodex. Oversized cards, folded cards, or cards that are designed vertically are attention-getting because they are different. But as graphic designer Molly Ann Merriam advises, quote, that difference may not best facilitate follow-up as the horizontally designed cards will do. Remember, the purpose of a business card is to provide a formal introduction that indicates legitimacy. A card is not a catalog of goods and services. Unquote. It's awkward to reach for a card after indulging in sweet and sour chicken. Do your nibbling first, then circulate, converse, and exchange business cards. And bring enough cards. Granted, if there are 900 people at a meeting, you obviously won't carry that many business cards, nor should you. In the course of a 2-hour reception, it would be unlikely that you would or could converse with more than 25 people. Be prepared. Always have business cards with you, a few extra in your wallet, glove compartment, and briefcase. We never know who we'll run into or where, on the jogging path, at the barber shop, at your cousin's wedding. But also exercise good judgment. Distribution at funerals is tasteless. While most people will ask you for your card in return, some won't. There are 2 ways to handle this. Either offer your card after you have collected theirs, or send a note and include your card. If a person refuses to give you a card or has run out, you may offer one of yours to jot down his or her information. And one final note, when we receive a card, let's take a hint from the Japanese and honor the card and the person who gave it to us by taking a look at it before putting it away. This is a matter of respect. It will also help us remember who gave us the card. Business cards are the information tools we need to continue our communication and follow up with people we meet. The magic of making your network work lies in follow-up. I often get teased by a colleague because I send notes and call to chat. His implication is that he's too busy in his marketing for such idle tasks. But building a network of contacts, resources, colleagues, and friends requires actions that take time, from the moment you enter a room to mingle and meet people to when you return to your office to do the follow-up. Consider this time an investment. And what becomes of that investment in meeting people if you don't follow through? It's down the drain. Here are 4 follow-up notions. 1. Send a note. A single sentence will do, handwritten. Computer-generated may be more efficient, but pen on good paper is memorable. Perhaps you learned that Roger is a hockey fan and you found an article comparing hockey to business management. Send the article with a 1-line note, something like, Roger, enjoyed meeting you at the awards banquet. Best, Susan. 2. Call within 12 to 14 days of mailing the note. Have ready 3 optional days to offer for a breakfast or lunch. If you don't connect with Roger, leave a specific message reminding him of where you met as a conversation jog. If you get to leave a voicemail message, be sure to reflect interest and a smile in your voice. 3. Do not send your brochure. Unless Roger requested it, do not send your company's press kit or annual report. If he did, then do so promptly. 4. Wait 12 to 14 days and call. Let's say Roger did request your company information and hasn't returned your follow-up call. Wait 2 weeks and call again. And if you don't get a response, sometimes it'll happen. We will not connect with every person we meet, nor should we expect every contact to work out. Follow-up reflects respect for the other person's time and schedule, and respect is the core of any contact that may blossom into a relationship. Wait a couple of months. Send a column, card, cartoon, lead, information about an upcoming event. I have fun at various holidays sending notes of good wishes or cards for the occasion. Now let's talk about visibility value. And to become visible, you have to go out. Or as Mother said, you'll never meet anyone sitting at home or at your desk. We cannot create a positive presence unless we are present. We can stay in touch by letter, phone, fax, or email, but a face-to-face conversation establishes rapport like no other interaction or communication. That is the basis for the most productive relationships. As jazz musician Art Blakey said, "If you're not appearing, you are disappearing." Going out is the first step to creating visibility. Yes, it is difficult to leave a project, a deadline, piles of urgent files, clients, patients, or customers to attend a professional meeting, community luncheon, or business event. And yes, attending an event with strangers is our number one most uncomfortable situation. I wrote How to Work a Room to provide a common-sense guide for savvy socializing. If entering and mingling with a room full of people, especially strangers, is a source of discomfort to you, I urge you to read that book or buy the tape. The people whom I call magnificent minglers have a number of things in common. Here are the top 10. They possess the ability to make others feel comfortable. They appear to be confident and at ease. They have an ability to laugh at themselves. They show interest in others by maintaining eye contact, asking questions, and actively listening. They extend themselves to others by leaning into a greeting with a firm handshake and a smile. They convey a sense of energy and enthusiasm. They're well-rounded, well-informed, well-intentioned, and well-mannered. They prepare vignettes that are interesting, humorous, and appropriate. They introduce people to each other with an infectious enthusiasm that motivates conversation. And they convey respect and genuinely like people, which is the core of communicating. If we are more comfortable at events, and we can be, we develop a positive presence that is memorable. There are 3 arenas in which visibility contributes to professional viability. Phase 1, intra-company. Phase 2, professional associations. And Phase 3, community organizations. Let's begin with Phase 1, intra-company. To quote corporate CEO Paul Stern, "It is useful to belong to a network within a company which consists of people with whom you trade information." Unquote. Being seen allows one to have the casual conversation that is the cornerstone of relationships. The camaraderie that develops off-duty during activities, like a company bowling team, makes the workplace more enjoyable. It allows us to have a network of coworkers from other departments or divisions in the company, which increases our information base and effectiveness rating. An event like a company picnic allows you to talk to everyone, coworkers, spouses, and kids. At casual company events, offspring are often included, and structured games, contests, and activities are offered for them. Ignoring kids makes a negative statement. Paying attention to them makes a positive one. Phase 2 is professional associations. It takes more than membership dues to be visible in your professional associations. Writing a check and filling out the information card will get you on the roster. That is not enough, and it does not contribute to your network of contacts. If you attend a percentage of meetings, join a committee, or volunteer for a special project, you will become better known. Pick a committee and project in an area that interests you. Fundraising, perhaps, or public relations, or the greeting committee. Then it's your job to meet people. But remember that it serves no purpose to volunteer for a committee or run for an office and then do a poor job. Volunteer work for any organization requires our best. Additionally, a position in a professional organization is an excellent add-on to your resume, especially if the position is one that demands skills and experiences that are different from those used in your job. Finally, Phase 3, community organizations. Each of us has issues that are near and dear to our hearts. Involvement in those areas feels good to us because we're doing our share to make a difference. Serving one's community is an opportunity to do just that. We're afforded the chance to meet people with whom we already share a common bond, to work side by side for a reward that is not monetary. There are numerous nonprofit agencies that are looking for knowledgeable, talented people willing to commit their time, energy, and expertise. We can serve on boards, participate in projects, or attend sponsored events. The byproduct is that we meet people, gain visibility, and increase our networks, resources, and business. It happens informally when people know who we are and what we do and are comfortable with our capabilities. So go out and perform at your best as a volunteer. Let people know what you do. Above all, have a good time. Bring along your lighthearted laughter, and you will be a standout. In the musical Evita, one of the generals defines politics as the art of the possible. Too often people complain about the politics of a situation, claiming that, I just want to do my job well. Let me share a time-saving tip. Don't waste one moment lamenting about the horrible politics in your office or organization. There is no gathering of 3 or more persons free of politics. Just remember the last family holiday reunion you attended. Then again, maybe you'd rather not. Too many of us separate our professional skills from those needed to compete, to create, and to collaborate politically. There are specific abilities and skills required of every job, but the benefit of heightened political skill and the awareness of how any organization, corporation, formal or informal network operates, who operates it, the written policies and the unwritten rules contribute to our effectiveness. Political business savvy is a critical quality that bears attention and secures success. A benefit of heightened political skill is an awareness as well as a grasp of how things are done and who makes things happen. Most of us want to be around those doers and in fact be one ourselves. And good networkers get things done. It's a compliment when someone says, "Call Joe. If he can't help you fix your problem, he knows who can." According to author Marilyn Moats Kennedy, quote, "Politics is a process for getting things done, where everyone barters for favors," unquote. Understandably, that allows us to move forward in our positions, professions, and formal and informal networks. Yes, one hand washes the other. Did you ever try to wash just one hand? Here are some ideas for developing your sense of business politics. Observe your colleagues, subordinates, and supervisors. Who eats with whom? Works out together? Commutes together? Read the body language of your coworkers as names, projects, and assignments are mentioned. Listen to the conversations in the elevators, staff rooms, nearby restaurants, and even the washrooms. Converse with your coworkers, clients, colleagues, and competitors. There is another critical career tool that fits under the umbrella of business politics: reciprocity. Reciprocity is the cornerstone of networking. It is a common courtesy, the give and take that is the glue that makes things stick together. Giving without expectation may work in some instances. Not giving back does not. Our network will stop supporting us if we don't pay back. We need to know what markers are out there, who holds our markers and for what, and whose markers are in our possession. Our positions in our networks and professions depend on it. Savvy people know and understand that where people gather, politics are present. But savvy people waste not a moment worrying about politics. Instead, they heed them. Savvy people who are politically astute know the score. We can all name people who don't know the score. They just don't get it. They are, as a friend so aptly put it, the clue impaired. It is wise to recognize when a favor has been done for us. It is prudent to know that we owe a favor in return. Recognizing that we owe a chit is every bit as prudent as knowing we are owed. It's part of knowing the score. The network knows when we owe and when we have or have not been paying up. People express discomfort at recognizing that they have been given help or favors. We are undone by the thought of asking for help, let alone calling in favors. The reality is that we must ask for the return of favors for several reasons. 1, it relieves people of the pressure and guilt of owing us. 2, it gives people an opportunity to give, which clears the slate so that they can continue to accept our favors. And 3, we receive the help, advice, and contacts that we need. A caution: favors are tricky because they obligate the recipient. The grantor must also be careful to create an opportunity for payback. In 1989, the Silver Anniversary Tour of Fiddler on the Roof played in San Francisco. I half expected Tevye's three daughters to sing an updated version, "Networker, Networker, Make Me a Match." Wouldn't it be great to have Yenta the Networker to fill all our business needs? Oh, you need a florist. Have I got a florist for you? A graphic designer? No problem. Sadie's son is such a talent. Oh, you want a job as a financial analyst? This match will cost extra. The best of networkers are matchmakers because they listen to your needs, hear what you are and are not saying, know many people, either directly or indirectly, share their resources, and they offer to make the match directly or allow you to use their names. Know that if you make a match, there's always a risk that it won't work out. There's always the possibility of chemistry and personality conflicts. Referrals and recommendations are always a risk, but I subscribe to the philosophy that, to the risk takers go the rewards. Today's Yenta might also be a professional headhunter. Executive recruiters and employment agencies exist to recruit, screen, and recommend qualified candidates for appropriate employment positions. Recruiters are networkers whose successful matches determine their business success. On a less formal level, most of us have told our buddies about openings that we hear of through the grapevine. The process is an ancient one. Now, this is a perfect place to reiterate that old adage we heard growing up: don't judge a book by its cover. If we do, we risk the error of misjudging. Irv Spivak, a founder of the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce Business Alliance, reminds us, quote, "Don't discount someone because they are starting a small business and may be a sole practitioner. You never know who that individual knows, to whom she is related, or with whom she is friends. It is wise to treat each person with respect." Unquote. Referrals are gifts that are given, not a God-given right. To put it another way, networking is not an entitlement program. It is an enrichment program. So how do you get referrals? Some people have said that we should be straightforward, honest, and just ask for what we want. Be clear with yourself about what you want and need. But be careful about asking for ideas and referrals from someone with whom you have no established communication, rapport, or relationship. It may be better if you let your needs be known rather than asked directly. That allows the other person time to think without being on the spot. Here's an example of a way not to get referrals, or to get one, but no more. A speaker, a woman I'll call Barbara the Bully, phoned me several years ago after I gave a presentation. "Susan, I want to speak for that group. Could I have your contact's name and number?" This was a woman I hardly knew, and we had barely exchanged words. She was in no position to ask. Such nerve. When I gently stammered that this was not a good idea, she persisted in virtually demanding the information. I was taken aback, felt bullied, and I capitulated. Was I ever angry at myself for being such a pushover? There is a better way to encourage people to give us leads and contacts and to avoid putting them on the spot. "Susan, I read that you spoke to the Wheeler Dealers Association. That's a group I'd really like to address. If you think I'd fit in, I'd love the name and number of the meeting planner for a future conference." Much of matchmaking, networking, happens informally. Looked at another way, that word becomes inform, ally. We inform an ally about a job, a service, or a new product. And don't forget old friends. People from our pasts may have an impact on our personal and professional lives because we've stayed in touch. Literary agent Patty Brightman got her first job in publishing through Helene Katz, an old friend from camp days. Shelley Gorofsky, who's been my buddy since high school and in fact since first grade, referred me to a client who has since hired me several times to speak at conferences and conventions. Referrals can happen on the golf course, in the health club, at the barber shop, the board meeting, or at a bridal shower. We need to let people know what we are looking for and do it in a way that allows them to respond comfortably. We must keep our matchmakers apprised of the progress and outcome of their efforts in a timely fashion. We should reciprocate whenever possible. And we must never forget to acknowledge those networkers who have made referrals and matches for us. Let's give thanks is the comment that precedes a prayer, and it has direct application to us. Without giving thanks, we will not have a prayer in the process known as networking. Acknowledgement is the cornerstone of alliance building and common courtesy. My basic premise is that no one owes us a lead, lunch, referral, energy, time, advice, or favor of any type. Therefore, if any of these are bestowed on us, we must acknowledge appropriately and in a timely fashion. Many people do know that a gift requires a thank you note. To my chagrin, too many people do not. Do you express appreciation to bosses, coworkers, friends, and family? Do you give verbal attribution to those who have had a positive impact on your career? Or do such activities take too much time? Be assured, people are aware of those times when they have made a special effort to do a favor and it's not acknowledged or appreciated. A favor is defined as a kindness or gift. Office or workplace favors might include special research for a project, a copy of a magazine article of interest, an immediate typing of a report, support for an extension of a project deadline. And work completed thoroughly, prior to deadline, creatively, and cost-effectively is special. Contacts and referrals that you have been given for possible clients, informational interviews, job leads, and organizations are gifts. Time given as a kindness takes many forms. A phone conversation where you receive a request, advice, or information, an office visit to a coworker when you are stuck on a problem, or a letter of commendation or recommendation that takes time to draft, type, and mail. Some questions you may consider. Do you take time to drop into an office to interrupt a colleague so you can get help? If so, then you have the time to acknowledge that help. Do you have time to convince the boss's secretary to schedule you for a brief meeting? Then you have time to demonstrate your appreciation. Sometimes the only form of acknowledgement needed is a simple note. Here's a sample of a professional thank you note you may find helpful as a model. Dear Bob, I really appreciate the time you took from your busy day to talk with me. You gave me much food for thought, a smorgasbord of ideas for me to ponder. You certainly expanded my thinking, and I am grateful. Thank you again. I look forward to returning your support. Cordially, Susan. But know that there'll be times when a thank you note won't be enough. Times such as a referral to a job that you get, a lead to a client that turns into dollars, a favor that saves you valuable time and money. In some professions, a referral fee is inappropriate and even illegal. In the speaking profession, where bureaus that book speakers receive 25 to 30% of the fee, a 10% thank you is not inappropriate. Of course, that depends on your relationship with the person who referred you and the agreements you have about shared leads. If paying a referral fee is awkward, there are other options. Flowers or balloons, food, wine, cookies, candy assortments, a book, or magazine gift subscriptions, tickets to sports or cultural events, lunch or dinner. One very special gift that continues to give is a donation to a charity in honor of the person to be thanked. Most charities will send a note to the honoree. Sometimes I have trees planted in honor of clients, colleagues, and friends. Do people appreciate these gifts? Of course. They are trees of life. Because we value the contributions of others, sincere acknowledgments are magic. The ability to make them helps us maintain and expand our sources and resources. The business lunch will always be with us. It's an opportunity to meet a potential client, colleague, associate, or coworker. We get to break bread, share information, and have conversations that don't revolve around the office. Who is the host? The person who extends the invitation is the host unless it is clear that the meal is Dutch treat. The host is the person who will be picking the brain of the guest. If you use lunch as an opportunity for obtaining consultation or advice, or for brainstorming, you pay. It doesn't matter who earns more. What counts is that the person who shares time and information is the guest. Here's the rule. He or she who picks the brain picks up the check. The host is also the person in control of the location, agenda, and conversation. In the business world, picking up the tab is the power position. But a business lunch has an implicit social aspect, otherwise the meeting could take place in an office. The restaurant or lunch club provides an opportunity for common ground and social conversation. Power and control lunches have their place in the corporate wheelings and dealings that define and refine major business negotiations. But the business lunch designed to expand our circle of contacts is not a power meal. To clarify picking up the check, there is an ounce of prevention you can apply. When someone expresses interest in the information you may share, say, "I'd be delighted to let you buy my time and my lunch. When and where would you like to take me?" Some people will say, "I'd like to get together to pick your brain." Try this response. "Oh, you want a consultation? I'd be pleased. Since we know there's no such thing as a free lunch, where would you like to take me?" Sound gutsy? Feel uncomfortable? Any more uncomfortable than getting stuck with a tab? Another issue around business lunch brainstorming is time. I'm open to spending 10 to 15 minutes on the phone. It sure beats 3 hours for lunch. And there's a nice touch that I learned from a local stockbroker. I'll ask, "Have my leads and ideas been helpful?" The answer is yes. "Is it worth a lunch?" "Sure, I'll take you to lunch." Thanks. I don't need the calories, but here's an alternative. Send me a check made out to St. Anthony's dining room for what the lunch would have cost. Let's take the ideas I shared and feed some hungry people. "That's a great idea," is always the response. It's a win-win situation. Give 10 to 15 minutes of support, ideas, and leads. The caller benefits, we both help feed the hungry, and we both feel really good. Now hosts see to the comfort of their guests. They select a restaurant, call for a reservation, find out if the guest has special dietary needs, and may arrange to leave a credit card with the manager so there are no financial dealings at the table. During lunch, we should be sure that we are being gracious, congenial, and as clear as possible with restaurant personnel. At a lunch, a friend and I observed a man hosting 4 women. The charm oozed in conversation with his 4 female associates, and the power and control were visible and audible. But the tone he used with the waiter was patronizing. How we treat restaurant personnel is observed by our lunch companions and remembered. Here is a short list of guest do's and don'ts. Be mindful that a hosted lunch may not be the time to order your favorite dishes, caviar and lobster. "What do you recommend?" is a question that gives your host the opportunity to provide some guidelines. Keep in mind, expense accounts are less generous these days. Being a gracious guest includes being a good listener as well as being conversant. We all must bring something to the banquet of banter. Your host will provide the guidelines of the lunch. If he does not indulge in an alcoholic beverage, you may want to follow suit. When to segue from social conversation to the business is as important as how to do so. The best time to discuss business is after the meal has been served and the plates have been cleared. The guest should always send a thank you note to the host, who at the very least provided sustenance. And if the host provided sustenance in the form of leads, consultation, advice, feedback, or ideas, a gift of acknowledgement is also appropriate. About that thank you note. In building an ongoing business relationship, a handwritten note is personal and memorable. It indicates that you, not your secretary, took precious time to take pen in hand. Now, what about splitting the bill? This becomes an issue when there is no designated host. I have always accepted and encouraged the easier equal division of the bill. The logic is that a few dollars are not important enough to waste time and energy dividing proportionately. Here are some proposed solutions to the dilemma. First, ask beforehand whether the meal is hosted, Dutch, or split. Second, you might try the method followed by Barry Wishner's late father, which was, be conscious of the price of the meal and drinks, add 20% tip and tax plus an extra $5 as soon as the check is put on the table, which keeps anyone from being stuck with uncalculated extras. One woman I know told me she always gives her exact amount so she never feels ripped off. But her meal mates do if the exact amount is less than adequate for her share. And it always is. Third, if you are the guest, don't take advantage. Fourth, a word to the offenders who order the most expensive food and a number of drinks and costly wine. A lot of us have your number. Even if we suffer silently at the table, you can bet tomorrow we're burning up the wires with the word on you. The network works in mysterious ways. Offer to pay the full amount you have incurred. A fifth and final solution is to choose restaurants that will give separate checks. This may be a problem for the server or the restaurant, but it surely makes sense to ask. In this case, a 20% tip is in order. One final item. A number of people I spoke with mentioned the annoying person who picks up the tab, charges it, collects everyone's cash, and then keeps the receipt and deducts the entire meal. One fellow said he almost felt compelled to call the IRS about one such guy and give them an anonymous tip. Don't be that guy.